And once again, I thank you guys for tuning in to the Bootz Sports Show. I'm your host, Uncle Bootz. And yes, of course, your Dallas Cowboys are 1-0 in defeating the New York Football Giants 36-31. And yes, I know we were pretty confident about that game. Okay, we weren't. We didn't know what to expect because the New York Giants have come into our stadium and continue to defeat us since the stadium has been built. But all of those 4-0 records against the Cowboys in the AT&T Stadium, etc., all of that, Cowboy Stadium, whatever you want to call it, that's all for naught now. The Cowboys have officially defeated the Giants. And this game was a weird-looking game. I mean, a bunch of turnovers. And the Cowboys had a lot to do with those turnovers, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But first and foremost, I want to give thanks out to yourdailycowboysfootballfix.com. Definitely check out that website. A lot of Cowboy information, a lot of good articles, and you can also watch this video there as well. Moving forward, the Dallas Cowboys came out in that game and really showed everything that you saw the coaching staff, the new coaching staff, Monty Kiffin, Rob Marinelli, Versace, the special teams coach, all these guys that were in there, and not to discredit a couple of the leftovers, Matt Eberflus, the linebacker coach, and Jerome Henderson, secondary coach, not to leave those guys out, but there was a change that was embraced by Jason Garrett, Jerry Jones, and the Dallas Cowboy brass, in a sense that we need to force more turnovers and we need to be more balanced in this football game. Well, the Cowboys came out in the preseason, and I am a big fan. If you haven't watched this show before, first of all, I welcome you. Second of all, I am a big fan of preseason football. I am one of the rare people that believe that preseason does matter. And if you watched the Cowboys this preseason, it would not have been a shock to you that the Cowboys were going to move the football and they were going to take the ball away from you. Those are two cosmetic changes that we saw in the preseason. We didn't see in previous preseasons or even previous seasons. We saw that right away in this football game. The first play that that Eli Manning, when he first got that ball and touched it and tried to incorporate that screen pass, DeMarcus Ware was right there for the interception. And from then on, there were a bunch of turnovers, fumbles, and I'm not talking because I'm hearing Giant fans talk about they gave the game to us and it was there. I want to clear this up too, right now, right here on the Bootz Sports Show. Let's clear this up. You didn't give the game away. You didn't beat yourselves. The Cowboys took the ball from you. So let's let that be fair, because it seems like Manning went out there and said, here you go, Ware. We took the football. And that was the difference between this team, this defense, and previous defenses that the Cowboys have had over recent years. So I don't want to hear excuses about, how we beat ourselves. No, you didn't. The ball was being ripped from your players repeatedly. So the Cowboys went out and did a very good job, and that was one of the things that they've been practicing, and we talked about that in my most recent show that I did prior to this one. The Cowboys have been really focusing on taking the ball away, practicing that, incorporating that into their everyday football play and meetings. Every single thing they do talks about a turnover, or everything that they believe in is being reinforced with turnovers defensively. So that showed up, and I'm glad it showed up because we needed it. Apparently we needed all those turnovers because otherwise Eli Manning was going to erupt for a huge passing day and they would have had a chance to win that game. Who knows how the game would have turned out. But we needed those turnovers, and that's what we needed to win. And the Cowboys, for once, went out and did what they needed to do to win the football game. So, and another stat, might I add, last year, the Cowboys weren't winning early in games. I don't think at all during the season did we have a lead. This team didn't relinquish the lead at all. So in this game, so you are seeing some changes and some trend changes. Now, I also noticed some things with the offense. I did see some of the two tight end set. I don't know how. Excuse me. I don't know how well it worked. I don't know if we were able to impose our will with that two tight end set. But I do know I did see a lot of Hanna and Escobar and Witten. I saw those guys out there on the field. So they did what they wanted to do in that respect, is show our base offense and use that offense. Now, some things that were really good in this game, and it's not in any particular order. It was just when I watched this game, and I was, we talked about the center position and the A-gap position, which, pretty much are the gaps on the sides of the center. That had always been a weak point for the Dallas Cowboys. And really going back to even when Drew Bledsoe was playing here, that was one of the main things that people would target, is try to get to his launch point through the A-gap blitz. And that kind of ultimately got him out of the league. Tony was really starting to see a lot of that, those A-gap blitzes, and Phil Costa and company weren't doing a good job on our offensive line keeping Tony clean, in his launch point or at his launch point. So this time I was focused on that, because I know how good the interior. We talk about the exterior. We talk about the guys, on the outsides rushing the passer for the Giants, JPP, and anybody else they put on the other side, whether it's Justin Tuck or I thought we'd see Demontre Moore, but he was inactive. He had an injury, the rookie from Texas A&M. So they put some guys out there that can rush the, Kiwanuka. They can bring some guys that bring a good pass rush. But they also do it inside with guys like Cullen Jenkins, Mike Patterson. They get a nice push. Also, they had Linval Joseph as well, trying to get inside, and Sean Rogers. Some of these guys, it seemed like Travis Frederick not only did a decent job. That was the one area when you watch this football game that there was never any problems inside. So that looks like a strong area there. I think the Cowboys accidentally ended up with Travis Frederick, because I don't think that they may have traded down to look to get somebody else, maybe Eric Reed, who I don't know if you guys were able to watch, but he did make an impact in that 49ers game, played really well, made some big plays, and maybe the Cowboys thought they could get that player, and he might have helped us against the Giants too, but I don't know who would have blocked and kept Tony clean up the middle. So I think it starts there. I think it really does, because teams used to stun us, come up the middle, do all this stuff. But anyway, moving forward, I thought the balance was pretty good in this game. I know we didn't run the ball as effectively as we would have liked to. We would have liked to see a 5 or 6 yards per carry average. I wanted to see more running back versatility. I'm not sure why other backs, Randall, I thought Joseph Randall was active. He might have been inactive, come to think of it now. But I would have liked to even seen Tanner get a few more carries than what he did. I wanted to see us 27, 28 carries in this game, if not 30. But the Cowboys did just enough to keep them honest, because DeMarco Murray looked like had he had a little bit better vision, he might have been able to make a better, take advantage of more better runs that should have been. He should have had a lot better runs out there. Left some yards on the field. I felt with his choice running style where he chooses, I felt he made some bad choices at a couple points, But all in all, it was still enough to let the Giants respect our running game and not gang up on the passing game. So I thought that was really good. And I don't know if you guys noticed this, whether you were at the game or whether you were just listening to it. Now, I listened to the game through the surround sound, so I usually have the TV cranking and screaming. This was the loudest crowd that I've ever heard at the stadium. So normally when you watch a Cowboy game, I haven't been to one, but when you watch one in the new stadium anyway, or any stadium, but when you watch the games and listen to them on TV, normally you don't hear the crowd. I always say we got this huge stadium and you can't even tell. We must have some executives or corporate people going to these games, because the rowdy raucous, crazy fan never imposes themselves, or you can't hear them in games. This game was different, and I heard a little bit because I was kind of investigating that, like what happened? Why was the crowd so crazy and so involved? And some of this happens when you have a lead in the beginning of the game, which the Cowboys pretty much didn't have all year last year. But when you have a lead in the beginning of these games, that does change the crowd. When you're not down the whole game, it does change the crowd. They're pumped up, they're rooting. You got the lead, then 2-score leads and all that. But I did hear that Michael Irvin gave a speech. I guess they played it on the big board, and I heard his message, and it was pretty much to instigate the crowd, and it was a nice pep talk. And you might be able to find that online. I haven't been able to find that online. I was going to try to feed that in here into this video, but it was a really, really, really powerful message that pumped up the crowd, and that might have worked. So the crowd definitely played a big part. So kudos to the fans that were there at the game, because I believe that made a difference as well. So other positives I saw. Now, Bruce Carter looked the part. He looked good. He looked good again. And I was kind of worried about him a little bit. Like, we saw some good things from him last year, and we saw him budding, becoming a star, and then all of a sudden he got hurt, and you kind of wondered if that impeded or slowed up his progress. And I felt like he did show up. He had a really good game. I mean, you seen his speed, you see him flash. I mean, a nice sack. I mean, he played well. He played really well. So it's good to see that, and I believe, he led the team in tackles. It's not official, but I believe he did lead the team in tackles. So Bruce Carter played phenomenal, and we needed that. And you see what the run game, remember now, they had to run the ball too, and they weren't successful running the ball on us, and a lot of that is because of our linebackers. So and obviously Sean Lee as well. They play off each other real well. But another player who took a lot of heat the last couple years with us was Miles Austin, and you finally saw him healthy. And you saw what they did to Dez. The Giants were not going to let Dez Bryant beat them. And it was a good plan, because Miles isn't Dez. If you gave Dez 10 receptions, Dez is going to have 180 to 200 yards on you receiving with 3 touchdowns. And I promise you that. Miles is not going to do that. And the way they were playing our guys, Miles was going to be open all day. Jason Witten was going to have some success. So Miles did a really good job filling in that role, coming in, making those tough catches, not dropping balls, not getting the ball ripped from him, protecting the football, and most importantly, protecting himself, because he has been injured, and he did a real good job, and I was really impressed with his game. That showed I mean, listen, not a lot of teams have a guy like Miles who they can slide into the slot, move outside. I mean, he's a very valuable piece. I know we want to run him off real quick and get the new guy, Terrence Williams, in here, who we will talk about a little bit. But Miles still has some help here, and I don't think next year he's going to be too expensive for us. Barring injury, we should definitely keep him even next year. So all that running him off stuff, that's got to settle down. Miles played a really, really good game against a tough defense. Their secondary, let me give the Giants credit, because I killed their secondary as well as their linebacking core, which was atrocious. But the secondary played well. They did their job. They got some contributions from pretty much all the Amukamara definitely went out with the head injury, but they did a really good job all the way around. I felt like their guys stood in there and played well. I mean, you had Ryan Mundy come in, and who probably wasn't going to be, maybe might not have made the team if they hadn't had some situations with Will Hill and the injury to Stevie Brown. He came in and made some plays for them. They played real well. So they did a good job. Their game plan kept them in the game. So kudos to that. You look at the defense as a whole. Now, I'm not going to tell you the defense was great, because anytime you give up a 450-yard passer in a game, and then you have blown assignments, Will Allen. Now, as much as we killed Rob Ryan last year, we killed him. And sometimes rightfully so. And my biggest problem with him was that nobody knew what the call was, or nobody knew what they were doing in the secondary. That was my problem. My problem wasn't with his schematics, because I thought schematically he had some brilliant ideas that would have transcended defensively, and we could have been a good defense last year. But I saw the same thing show up in that secondary where guys were wandering around like, what's the call? What's the call? That is unacceptable. And it's only unacceptable to me because I watched every single football game that I possibly could with the, I don't know if you guys play Madden, but the Madden 25, if you purchased it off Amazon, you got the NFL Sunday ticket free. So I had all kinds of devices going with the Sunday ticket watching these games. I didn't see defenses standing there not knowing what's going on, what's the call. So why does it happen in Dallas? At home. Like, we're supposed to be able to execute at home. So that's got to get cleaned up. I mean, Will Allen, I thought he had a bad game altogether. So I know he had the interception, and that was a great play, a phenomenal play, because he could have dropped that ball like we would have done in past years. But I thought he had a bad game. I just didn't think he's supposed to get everybody lined up. So how do you not know where to line up? He's the veteran. Remember, Will Allen was brought here because he was formerly had played, with Monty Kiffin, played for Monty Kiffin. So he's supposed to know. I didn't see Wilcox standing around doing that. I didn't see Barry Church. Now I did see Scandrick doing it. Scandrick's playing out of position, playing outside. But why are these guys not knowing where to play on defense? Why are they not knowing where to line up? And the last thing I'll say on it, because I don't want to kill Will Allen, because he did make a play for us that ultimately helped us, get the momentum going and everything like that. But if you're a safety and you don't know what the call is, then you have to play the deep. You always protect the end zone. Why would you come up damn near where the linebackers are and act like you don't know to play? Get back there then and play deep. Worst case scenario, I don't know, maybe something underneath's going to happen because I didn't know my role, but I'm not giving up the play over the top, which they did to Victor Cruz. And that's unacceptable. 300-yard wide receivers is unacceptable in a football game for the defense. So the defense did enough ripping the ball away and getting these turnovers, but they didn't cover anything. So that's got to get cleaned up. Because that slot receiver, Victor Cruz, that salsa dancing, I'm telling you, I couldn't play football. First of all, I wasn't skilled enough to play in the NFL, but I couldn't play football and have that guy salsa dancing in my end zone without taking a personal foul hit. I would run up to him and put my helmet in his back while he's doing that. And every time that happened, that's exactly what I would do. Now, the other way to stop that from happening is play better defense. But if I'm going to get beat for a play, I'm not letting that go on. But that's all neither here nor there. But this defense has to get better at their coverages and their responsibilities. And I'm sure they will, because this team has put effort into things that we'll finally see come to fruition. We've seen and heard them since Kiffin and Marinelli got there. You heard them talk about turnovers. And this team went out and did that. So I'm expecting to see them execute and clean up their act and get this cleaned up. So I thought the offensive line did a really good job overall. I really did. Now, I know you can look at the Doug Free play, and that was a weird play. And for those of you who may not have seen it or may have turned away from your TV when it happened, which you should have, Doug Free got engaged going outside, and then somebody came from inside and just blasted him. And then that's when Tony Romo got hurt on that play, because that opened up that lane for Tony to take a helmet to the ribs, by the way. If they want to emphasize player safety, to me, that was hitting a player with the crown of the helmet. And the guy literally let his head down like this and went for Tony's ribs. So I seen that. Tony's a tough player, so I don't need to defend Tony. He defended himself by getting back out there and going out and play like I knew he would. Because you guys remember the 49ers game, like I told the Giant fans that were clowning Romo for going down and acting like he was soft. Tony Romo got up, coughing blood up with a punctured lung, and went out there and beat the 49ers. That really good 49ers defense went out there and threw the ball and pitched it all over the park. So I'm not worried about Tony taking those shots. So hopefully he's okay, because that, cracked ribs, fractured ribs, he's played with that. Remember the epidurals he was taking and all that stuff. Hopefully he'll be okay. So the team also, I just saw effort, though. I did see effort. I saw tons of effort. the biggest play of the game might be the DeMarco Murray effort play, running down Ryan Mundy down the field, saving the interception, saving it, running down the field, tackling him at about the 1 or 2 yard line. I believe it was the 1. That should have been a walk-in touchdown for the Giants, but they ended up settling for the field goal. So that was because the defense came out and played well. That was a big, huge play. And we saw that last year with Tyron Smith. I believe it was the same against the Giants, where he ran down the play, the interception, tackled the player. I think it was an Antrell Roll or somebody. It was one of the secondary guys, I believe. Tackled them, and they settled for a field goal. And that won us that game. So those types of effort plays, you're seeing effort. You're seeing guys hustle. I mean, I was worried about Murray for the rest of the game because Murray's not a runner. Like, he's not a guy who always, at least last year, he was always gassed. Always gassed. He would go down, he'd be wide open for the touchdown to run and no one in front of him, and he would just go down to the ground because he was tired. We've seen that a few times. Saw it in the Giants game, saw it in the Rams game when he rushed for 250 yards. I was worried that he would be gassed after running that far, but he made the play. The negative things that I've seen in this game, because we do have some negatives, besides the defense playing bad. Terrence Williams, man. I mean, he did redeem himself with a catch, but some of the drop balls and not knowing what the coverage is, that happened in the preseason. And if that's going to happen, give Dwayne Harris, who, by the way, was a monster on special teams, give Dwayne Harris that job back, because one thing about Dwayne Harris, he's tough to tackle, he catches everything, and he's not going to have an assignment error. And he's been with the team for years, what, third, fourth year now. So I know this is a young rookie, and he's got ability, because if you can get open without tremendous deep speed in the National Football League, like if you're not one of these guys running a 4.2 or 4.3, you're not noted to be one of them guys, and you can get open deep, your footwork and your route running is incredible. And I believe this kid has those traits, but he's got to know you cannot screw up in these spots. These are big games when you're playing these division games. Way bigger than the Kansas City game next week. You know, way bigger than that. A division game is so much bigger, carries so much more weight when these tiebreaker scenarios come down. That's what's huge. Protecting your turf. I don't know if we're going to do that the rest of the season, but week 1, we're 1 for 1 doing that. These are things that this organization can build on. Some other negative things I've seen. Again, we killed Allen. I'm not going to beat Allen up because we already did it already. But Morris Claiborne, man. When am I going to see pick 6, the 6th pick in the draft? When am I going to see that guy show up and be a dominant player? Like, I haven't seen it. And the jury's still out. And I'm still questioning that trade-up scenario where we gave up Michael Brockers, who would have played today and been would have been a big impact player, and would have had Bobby Wagner out there, maybe instead of Justin Durant, who, by the way, I did not see on the field yesterday. I mean, I didn't notice him. I'm sure he was there. I didn't notice him. These are 2 guys that could have come in here instantly and made our football team better had we drafted those players. We traded up and got Claiborne. Claiborne has not played well. And I mean since he's been here. Now, if I know anything about football, I know I'm not going to tackle the way he tackled that big tight end. I know these guys want to go low because they want to protect themselves. You're going to kill yourself. That's why he ended up with a dislocated shoulder, for using poor form tackling. That's just poor. Who lowers their head like that? You're tackling a 265-pound tight end. Like, who does that? I don't. Who does it? So, that being said, I'm disappointed with his play, man. This is a game where this is why you were brought here. You were drafted to play here because of this game, this player. And his buddy at LSU, Ruben Randall, was just, I mean, if any pick that we should have taken with that pick, it should have been Ruben Randall, because you wouldn't have had to draft Terrence Williams, and you wouldn't have to be worrying about Cole Beasley and all these other Dwayne Harrises. That kid looked like a star. A star. And probably what's going to happen is him rising to the top, and I know this is getting away from what we're talking about, but it's probably going to send Hakeem Nicks, because he's a free agent this year, it's probably going to send him packing. Because that kid that they got, and this is an economic league too. It's not just a league where you just picked all the best players. You got to pay people. So that kid Ruben Randle, man, he's going to be a good player, and Claiborne's going to have to cover him for the next 6 years or 7 years or however long he's here or however long he's in the league. But I have not seen anything that warrants him being that pick yet. We've already had players like Travis Frederick who nobody wanted. That guy's come in here and made an impact in games. Every game he's played in, he's made an impact. And it's easy to do at center, but you still got to be the part. You still have to block him. You still got to keep your body position right and keep the quarterback clean. I have not seen it. Now, he's still got plenty of time to get better. I know he missed practice this year. I know he missed preseason games. I know he was out there for the first time in weeks, but it's got to get better than that. Because you can't have Brian Warder sitting on his couch for 18 months and come in here and play at a Pro Bowl level, and you tell me that this 23, 24-year-old kid isn't getting himself acclimated because he hasn't been in shape, because he hasn't practiced. I can't have it. So these are some good things that we can build on, though. All these things. We need this stuff to come together. It's special teams. If you told me that the special teams was going to play this well after what we saw in the preseason, I would have been shocked. Now, Dwayne Harris wasn't out there with special teams in the preseason much. At least I didn't see him out there, coming down, playing the gunner. He looked like a linebacker out there. So he did a really good job on some tough returns. Just did a really good job, Dwayne Harris. And I hope that they integrate him more. And it's hard because the way they do it, on third downs they bring Miles into the slot and then they put Terrence Williams on the outside. Dwayne Harris isn't much of an outside wide receiver, or he hasn't been used that way for us. But so because of that, that's why Dwayne Harris isn't getting integrated in the slot, because you usually want to put Miles there because he's such a mismatch there. Another just popped into my mind. So another thing, I got to give Jason Witten credit. This team wanted to score points in the red zone with the tight end, and they did. They were able to do that. I haven't seen many multiple touchdown games from Jason Witten. I mean, I think he had 4 touchdowns all of last year. He's already had 2 in one game. So, Jason Witten, and then you're talking about a guy who's, I'm not going to say his play is coming down or his play is dwindling, but he's on the back end of his career. He's not in the prime years, even though his numbers will say different. He's older. He's been in the league for what? He's a 10-year vet. Been in the league for 10 years already. So seeing this stuff happen for him at this stage in the career, I mean, it can only be good things. It can only be good things that happen for this team. We do got a lot to clean up, but I'm not going to apologize about an ugly win, about, we gave you the ball 6 times and you guys could barely muster up points with that. You know what? You go worry about, and I'm talking to Giant fans, you go worry about your 6 turnovers in a loss. Because if that, and Tony and Dallas can't have games like that. See, I know Eli Manning has his rings, and I'm not going to take any of that away from Eli Manning. I'm not going to take it away. I'm even willing to say he's a better quarterback than Tony because he has 2 rings. So that doesn't bother me. What bothers me is certain quarterbacks can go out and have a game where they throw 4 touchdown passes, 3 interceptions, and the last one being an interception, game over, shut it down, good night, like Tony when he has those games, and they don't get the scrutiny that Tony gets. Nobody does. Nobody does. Peyton Manning threw 3 interceptions in the playoff against the Ravens last year. Nobody said anything about it. That guy was brought there to win a Super Bowl. Nobody said anything about that. They did not win a playoff game, and their quarterback hurt them in those games. Nobody talked about it. Nobody ripped Peyton over it. Nobody questioned whether his neck was going to be right or maybe the game was. if Tony has those games, everybody in the media turns on Tony. So Tony didn't blow this game at all, and this wasn't one of Tony's best games. I mean, they did a really good job keeping the passing game under control, the Giants did. But I would rather win this way than lose the way the Giants lost, getting the ball taken from them, ripped from them. You know, we had a game like that in the preseason where guys were getting the ball stripped from them. I think it was the Cardinals preseason game, and that's an awful way to lose games. So I'd rather be on this end of it. So I'll have some more stuff for you guys. Let's keep celebrating for another day or two, because I will be. Let's understand that it's one game, because I don't like when we're expected to be good. We got the Kansas City Chiefs, and that's going to be a tough game because they got their quarterback, they got their new coach, you know, they got a good running back. They don't have a David Wilson back there who's going to put the ball on the ground every single time. They against us anyway. They got a really, really high-level running back, and I'm going to tell you what's better is their defense. They have some very good defenders at multiple positions that would start on this football team. And them guys are playing well. So expect this to be a fight, a dog fight, this Kansas City game. So it's going to be a good game, and hopefully we're on the receiving end of another W, because I can't imagine Dallas being 2-0. Like, for us to come out here and do what we've done, beating the Giants, when everybody says the Giants can't win at home versus the Giants, we took that away. Giants never had the lead, so that was never in question. Did I get a little scared down the end? I was worried that Eli Manning might drive them down the field, but I knew that the only thing I was worried about was, would they have enough time? Would it be a 5-minute and 32-second drive that would take all the time off the clock and they score and win the game by a point, and we don't get a chance to get the ball back, or we get the ball back with 32 seconds? Or, because I knew if it didn't go down that way, Tony was going to get that ball back, and I wasn't worried if they scored. I actually thought they would score. I said, they're going to score. Eli will bring it down. Romo's going to get the ball with about 1:30, 1:40 left, maybe 2 minutes. And he's going to march down the field and get us in scoring range with Dan Bailey, or throw a touchdown, whatever, either or. But I didn't feel we were going to lose that game. So, guys, yes, I'm happy. I'm excited. You should be. Watch your team grow this year. This team is going to grow. They're going to be better. They're going to get better. You got good players that haven't played coming in. Good players that are going to come in and help out, that we still are going to get coming in, that are getting healthy. So that the front line is going to get better. Landon Cohen, Nick Hayden, George Selvey, those guys did an admirable job, but we got better guys than that on the bench that are going to be coming in getting healthy. So we got a lot to look forward to. Watch this team later. And I want Wilcox in there. And this is my last thing I'm going to say. I promise I ain't going to keep you guys long. I told you I won't keep you long. If I'm going to have blown assignments at the safety position, let it be Wilcox, J.J. Wilcox, that's doing it. Get him out there and let him play, because he's going to learn and grow from it. He has a ceiling. Will Allen doesn't have a ceiling. So if I want blown assignments back there, I'd rather have a young kid, so I got the excuse of saying, well, this kid was a third-round pick, you know, played at a small school, and he's a rookie, so he's learning the game. I'd rather it be that. Guys, like I said, how about them Cowboys? I'm pumped up. Let's get the season going. I'm ready. I hope you're ready, because I'm ready. So let's go.